Hello, Aries, and welcome, and thank you for joining me here today for another reading. So, I thought I would try something new today. So, I'm going to be from now on doing a forecast reading for each of the signs. Okay, so from Aries all the way down to Pisces. Okay, and so I just wanted to start today's reading by mentioning a few things. So, please keep in mind that today's reading will be for May this, oh, sorry, we're still in April. So the reading will be for April the 26th until May the 6th, okay? And it's just going to be a general reading. So essentially, how it's going to work is that whatever comes up is going to be the message for you, okay? And of course, as always, not every message resonates with every person. So if it doesn't, just, let it go or take what you can from it. Okay, but if it does come up, relationships, work, money, finances, or just even spiritual guidance, that's what you can expect, okay? So thank you guys so much for joining me, and let's go ahead and get started with your reading. So we're going to start with 3 cards from the Oracle deck, and then we'll pull 10 cards from the Tarot deck and see what's coming in for us. So keep in mind as well, we are now currently in the waxing phase of the moon. Okay, so waxing crescent to be specific. So the moon is slowly starting to increase in her size every single day, and that will be up until May 6th, which is the full moon. And that full moon is going to be in the sign of Scorpio. Okay, guys, so just a few reminders and things of that nature. And what action should you really be focusing on this time? Well, as always, we want to look at the phase of the moon. Oh, okay. So essentially, that would mean that whatever intentions that we have created for ourselves, now is the time to actually set action for them, to actually do the preparation and to start nurturing those ideas. Okay, so I'm going to pull 3 cards here and see what we have. So the first one is share your voice, okay? So come out of the cave, persecution and expression. So this is essentially speaking to if you really felt, and I'm sure everybody has felt isolated lately, just keep in mind that there's still ways to go about connecting with others, right? And that can be through, of course, using social media responsibly, as well as just with those in your surrounding environment, right? So don't be afraid to really speak your emotions at this time, or, discuss even your dreams, right? Because otherwise, unfortunately, what you do is you hold that in. And with this girl here, you can even see her outfit here. Essentially, it's a reflection of the divine universe, showing that essentially internally there's all this abundance and beauty within her. And because she's afraid to take that step forward, she kind of does not only disallows herself, but she also does the world no favors by not sharing her voice. Okay, so the next card we have here is birthing a new age. So birthing new creations, dreaming a new world into being, sorry. So a lot of you, it would have recently been your birthday, so happy belated birthday. Aries is the beginning of the year, and so with this being a birthing of a new age, just keep in mind that whatever age that you may have turned this year, really focus on making it your year, right? Regardless of what's going on in the world, we always have to understand that the power is within us. And so it's our responsibility as individuals, as infinite beings, to bring our deepest desires into the physical reality. Okay? So the next card we have here is Pleiades. Okay, so this card is double mission, channeling, and uplifting humanity. So what this can really speak to is this is maybe the calling that a lot of us have, and we don't even realize it. So, especially if you are a more conscious type of being and you feel that you see the world, from a more spiritual perspective, then maybe that's actually your calling in this reality, is to teach that to other people, right? And so with it being a double mission, keep in mind, I look at this card as 2 things. When it says channeling and uplifting humanity, it is our job as well to not only uplift and heal ourselves, but also to give that to others and to really shine in those areas. So I think a lot of us are being called to really step into our power at this time, okay? And really just be the type of people that we intend to be, and to make sure that our words and our actions are aligned, okay? And we do also have the card Awakening, okay? So it says energetic upgrades, a new way of being, and integration, okay? So essentially, yes, a lot of us are having an awakening at this time, and it, you know, a very mystical time has just passed for a lot of you, and even consciously, you know, and for all of humanity, we are going through a sort of awakening where we're starting to have the truth revealed to us about many things, right? And so with that in mind, you know, if you are feeling that type of way, just keep in mind that you are not alone, and that that is a very reasonable way for you to feel at this time. Okay, guys? So that was very beautiful. Thank you guys so much for letting me share that with you. Now we're going to go ahead and get started with 10 cards from the Oracle deck, or sorry, from the Tarot deck, just to see what energies we should be aware of for this week coming up. Okay, so we'll leave those on the side and see what's going on. So keep in mind too, you guys are a fire sign, and when this reading comes out, which is on the 26th, just keep in mind that we will be going into the sign of Pisces. Okay, so one thing to keep in mind, because Pisces is the last sign and you are the first sign of the zodiac, is that Pisces is a water sign, okay? And you guys are obviously very much fire. And so just keep in mind that when we look at the elements and how they work, you know, water can sometimes put out fires. So even though the moon's energy is increasing at this time, if you are feeling a bit tired or worn out, just keep in mind that each of us, depending on our birth chart, are going to be affected a little bit differently by the lunar energies and the star energies that are coming through. Okay, so just really, I think it's about staying positive, staying motivated, and staying focused on the goal, right? Not getting distracted. Because we really want to make these things come into fruition. Okay, so the first card we have is the Two of Cups. Okay, so beautiful card right away. This can speak to the merging or the mixing of the divine feminine and masculine energies. So this can be either in the physical reality, or this can also be internally, okay? So whichever it is for you, it's going to really depend on the following cards, okay? But just keep in mind that this card really speaks to harmony, right? And divine union. So the next card we have is the Five of Pentacles. So for some of you, you know, you might be feeling left out in the cold by somebody, something, someplace. And that, again, is not going to be strange. As I mentioned too, just in the next upcoming, you know, 2.5 days, if you will, you might be feeling this kind of lower energy phase, just for yourselves in particular, and that's perfectly normal and fine. And just make sure that you understand that whenever you feel any sort of way externally, it's a reflection of what's going on internally, right? So if you are feeling neglected or left out by someone, someplace, or something, keep in mind that that can only happen if you honor that idea, right? So this card, I also look at this as like an individual who is seeming to neglect honoring their own temple, right? Because we have 5 pentacles here, and we as beings, as human beings in this reality, we are essentially the pentacle, we are the star, right? We have 1 head, 2 arms, and 2 legs. And so what I see this as is someone who might be neglecting the inner self just a slight bit, right? And what this is saying is just to essentially not to forget that the temple is within, okay? So in the recent past, we do have the 8 of Cups, okay? So this speaks to walking away from something that once fulfilled you and maybe no longer does. Or, you know, even though there was love for that particular thing, you know, you went on the pursuit of finding something that was ultimately going to be more fulfilling, okay? So in the conscious or above us right now, you have the Strength card, okay? So the Strength card really speaks to essentially having the stability in oneself, right? And also having courage in the heart. specifically, right? Leo does rule the heart. And so I see this as maybe a lot of the goals for people at this time is to kind of get out of this energy of feeling neglected, of feeling isolated, but of feeling alone, and to find that strength within self, okay? And so we do have the Empress. So I do see this as a very good energy coming towards you guys. And I see this as, you know, especially with the spring season coming through, it's kind of difficult to really dwell on too many issues when Mother Nature is bursting with such beauty, right? And what I think this is going to be for a lot of you guys is that regardless of how others may treat you, you're going to come into the knowing that however others feel about you, it has nothing to do with you, right? At the end of the day, if other people do not feel the need to give you their time, their attention, or anything of this nature, you're going to come into this awareness that regardless, it's not going to affect you, right? Because the truth of the matter is that any lower polarity or even higher polarity thoughts, feelings, emotions can only come into fruition by you paying attention to them, by you honoring them. And by going into that strength of self, I definitely see that we're going to honor that divine feminine energy within each one of us, okay? So we have here on the subconscious the Four of Wands, okay? So definitely this is kind of an extension of the Twin Flame card, right? So just keep in mind that this speaks to a lot of harmony, abundance, and inner strength. And so I think that deep down inside, a lot of you know that you have that a lot of you have that security and stability within self, right? And that's why you are maybe choosing to walk away from what no longer serves you, to what no longer fulfills your deepest callings, okay? So in the general energy, we do have the Five of Wands. This can speak to, you know, healthy competition, because this isn't your resources. This might just show that you might have a lot of people fighting for your attention or having expectations of you in some way, shape, or form. And I think this is advice to just kind of stay back from that, you know, and stay in your own power. You don't necessarily have to get involved, and that's what people don't understand, is that it doesn't always mean direct competition. Sometimes, especially with you being the Emperor at this time, or sorry, the Empress at this time, you are not going to really compete with any other options, right? With any other people in any way, shape, or form. Okay, and then we have the Fool, which is your card. So definitely with this being the general energy, a lot of you are going to come into a new beginning for yourselves, right? Because you have done the hard part of walking away from something that you did once love, you know, and accepting things for what they are. Sometimes hang-ups and missed calls and things of that nature, they actually prevent us from going down paths that are no longer meant for us. And I see this man as he's walking away, because the red of his cloak does signify passion, right? And so essentially what I see is that a lot of us still have that passion within us, though, you know, maybe something feels as though it has taken part of us. You are reclaiming your power and taking back what is yours, and you're gonna have a new beginning with it, a fresh new start, right? In every way, and that's actually very beautiful. I see a lot of yellow in this reading, so yellow speaks to happiness, and I see that being the general energy for you guys. So that's amazing, and I'm very excited for you. Okay, so in the hopes and fears, we do have the Five of Swords. So we do have two fives here, and fives can speak to disharmony. Okay, so what I would see here is in hopes and fears is just perhaps maybe some of you have gone through turbulence with someone, even in terms of a relationship, friendship, family member, things of this nature. And because of that, it may have severed, you know, the relationship. But I always look at this card because it kind of has two swords up, and then the other swords are on the floor. And when swords are upright, they do speak to victory, to truth, and things of that nature. And so what I see is that this card is, you know, you may have lost the battle, but you didn't lose the war, right? Because these people that he defeated, yes, they're crying and they've lost temporarily. However, at the end of the day, like, they're not completely defeated, right? Or the battle isn't over, so they can still come back, they can still try over again. And you know, this man's sitting here and he's smug, and it's like, okay, he may have won for now. That's what I see. It's just, it's temporary victory, right? And maybe for some of us, we just also fear, and sometimes in terms of when we go through this type of situation, argument and things of that nature, we have our pride to worry about, right? And I see this as more so these people's pride has been wounded than anything, okay? And so just keep that in mind. You do have strength here, and that is the pride card. Leo is a very proud sign, right? Very sure in oneself, very strong, very confident and things of that nature. So I see that as a good omen, that if this is your fear and that you fear that your pride or your, you know, your, even sometimes it's our ego that gets hurt, but if that's how you feel, I promise you this is not going to be the outcome for your future, because justice is served, right? So justice is here, that is the outcome, and that's absolutely beautiful, because essentially what justice speaks to is the balancing out of things, right? So there is these fives in this reading, right? So there's 3 fives in this reading, and fives can speak to in disharmony. 5 is also Phi, right? And also the star. And so there's 2 ways to look at it. It's not a negative number or anything of that nature. And so with justice coming out, it kind of is going to come and balance 5, right? So essentially, if you, whatever you've given out, you're going to get in return, right? The Empress is very abundant. So if you've given love and maybe you didn't receive, do not worry, because you will receive love eventually. And the thing is, you just have to have that confidence, and you need to love yourself first, right? You need to take on that Empress energy, because it's always said that you cannot give something you don't have. So if you don't have self-love, you cannot give love to others. Even if you trick yourself into believing that's what you're doing, the reality is that we oftentimes, when we're in balance, we project onto other people, right? And we want love from them because we don't have it in ourselves, and there's things about ourselves that we reject. And I see that we're no longer doing this. We're just going to be authentic and true to ourselves, and essentially you're going to take on that energy of just being the divine feminine that you are, right? And because of that, you know, justice will be served, and you know, the things that are really meant for you will be attracted to you in your life. And I see this as, you know, more abundance, more yellow, more happiness, more good omens. We have the 8 of Pentacles, and I love this card because this man is hard at work, and I see you guys really just working hard on yourselves, working hard on creating the environment and the lifestyle that you desire. And by doing so, and by living your highest timeline, by living your highest calling and actually being aligned with that, you will attract exactly what is meant for you and what will give you the most fulfillment. So I'm actually super happy for you guys. You have an absolutely beautiful reading, and I'm excited to see how this reading pertains for a lot of you guys. I think that from now into the full moon, you're going to have a lot of good things come into your life. I see a lot of happiness here and a lot of balancing. Okay, so really good things here. And yeah, I look forward to seeing you guys again for the full moon reading on the 26th. Thank you.